This John Lothian News video is sponsored by Independence, Expertise, Execution. What are your 3 points? 3 points communications. How does the future of the ISV space look to you?
I think the other thing that is changing, particularly the listed derivatives space, is the introduction of the concept of multiple providers. And by that I mean, if you look at the equity space and when it became electronic, the introduction of FIX had a fairly marked impact on what was on the front end and what was on the back end. I think the introduction of FIX, or the more prevalent introduction of FIX into these other asset classes, fixed income, listed derivatives, maybe even the OTC space as well, will be, I think that will change the vendor space. I think it will mean that the buying side of that will look at it and say, well, maybe I could actually pull together a different set of vendors, interface them using FIX, and that solution will work for me.
How are regulations affecting Fidessa?
If I were to pull our software apart and actually look at the underlying components, those components that are being used in the listed futures trading platform are actually the same components that are being used in the equities. Now, as you start laying over workflow, regulation, different geographic specificity, obviously it becomes more complex and you see a level of divergence. There is workflow that is allowed within the derivatives world, which may not be allowed by regulation in the equities world. So you do have that impetus around compliance to actually modify the workflow. But fundamentally, the software underneath it, the concept of an order life cycle or a state model, the concepts of an audit trail for regulatory purposes, they're exactly the same, no matter what asset class you're touching.
What's the potential for the derivative space and technology firms?
We've had a tremendous response to what we have done in the last 8 years, especially in the last 18 months. I think our two larger clients in this space, Citi and New Edge, have definitely shaken up people's point of views. People are much more interested in hearing what we're saying. Even if it's just pure interest, they may not be buyers, but they now want to hear from us at both the technology level as well as at a thought leadership level. We have people within the organisation like Steve Grob, Dan Smalley, who've worked within the derivatives world, listed derivatives world for quite some time. They have their own point of view. They like to talk quite eloquently about where they see the markets going, whether it's futurization. What will CEFs do? Will they even exist a few years from now? So I think that what has happened this last 18 months is that from the point of view of our sales progress and the pipeline that we've got, and the point of view of actually putting our people to work, getting out there and talking about their own points of view, that interest level has risen tremendously. So I suspect that we will see many more announcements in the coming months and years about how Fidessa is progressing into that derivatives world.